chap gets in front of the camera. There's always a cock-up at the beginning of this, isn't there? Oh no, we're on 4G.
Okay, just making sure you're on the
We're
right
on 4G.
on the right internet there.
Whew. So Michelle's just going to share this. This is a bit of an impromptu live stream because I said I would do another one. Not a lot to report, but I thought if people come in, they might ask some questions. How is quarantine? And we can share with, people that might be coming into quarantine or planning a trip back to Australia or anywhere else in the world. I think quarantine, some of the questions that we answer might be relative to quarantine anywhere in the world.
I think so. So I'm just getting there. Take me a little while.
Just a second.
I've shared it all out, so that's okay. I'm just finding where we are, see if anybody's in. Just 1 second. Nothing like being organised for a live stream.
We thought we'd do it at 12:45 Australian time because, well, that was a quarter of an hour from when I set up the stream, but at the same time we weren't really prepared, so we're rushing around making sure that we've got enough liquids around us.
Good afternoon, Susan.
Hey, Susan.
See, I'm there now. And do we have sound today?
Oh, sound should be on. I think I double checked. The last live stream, we went like 2 or 3 minutes into the live stream and forgot to turn the sound on. So
we did make a note on the beginning.
Should be all good. This little thing is working.
It's blue today, so that's good. But if anybody can just confirm that we've got sound, that would be cool. So there we go. We're here.
So in between setting up the live stream and
sound is good. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. And talking to you guys, we had a quick call from the police because we've got to have a police visit apparently to check our sanity and what I don't know what it's checked, to be honest. I'm making stuff up as we go along. So I said to the police officer, the sergeant that rang, I said, well, can you tell me roughly what time they're coming in case I'm, doing a live stream? Well, I didn't say doing a live stream, but, in case we're doing something, having a shower, And he said, oh, well, sometime. And I said, well, yeah, roughly a time. No, they'll just knock on your door. I said, okay.
Nice to know.
They must know
care. Roughly what time.
No, he doesn't know. Firstly, they don't know roughly what time. Secondly, they don't care.
No.
Absolutely don't care in the slightest about, whether or not you might be having a shower or you might be. They assume that we're in this room, we've got nothing else to do, which is kind of true. But some people are running, still running their businesses and doing, Zoom calls and what have you. So once they knock on the door, you apparently got to drop everything. And yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. So that was a bit, I don't know.
Rude.
I just find it all a little bit too much. I've said before, when we ordered some stuff off of Amazon to come to the room here, I ordered some bits. They called me from downstairs to say that the police needed to search through the stuff that was sent. And I've had people in the comments saying, oh, that's because people are getting drugs into the hotel. And I'm thinking, so what's that got to do with us? We're not criminals. We're actually here because we've been forced to be here, but we're not criminals. And why we should have to be searched because maybe somebody's ordered some drugs. It's not our business, really. What world do we live in? Anyway.
The Petrie says, hello, Stephen Michelle.
Petrie, how are you?
Just a quick hi. I have to go to work in the morning. Does that mean you've got to get to bed?
Yeah, sorry. I know it's
probably
a good time for Australia. Maybe okay in parts of the US, but it's not that good for a lot of part of the world. But
no,
anyway,
Europe, it's not so good. But
such is life.
We have to deal with it.
So last live stream we got cut off because I think the app, the YouTube app, just crashed, and we did a little live stream on Facebook. If we get cut off again on this live stream for any reason early, I might pop onto Facebook again and just do a little short live stream to say, hello and just sort of finish things up. So if this just ends abruptly as it did in the last live stream, do drop over to Steve's Kitchen on Facebook and we might just finish up there. Otherwise,
try and put the link in like I did last time so that you can get over there. We had a few people come over, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. And we waited this time till after our lunch had been delivered. So we had lunch with spaghetti bolognese. It was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
It was nice.
It was a bit heavy, but
Mandarin. And
I put weight. I put weight on since I've been here. Which I didn't expect to do, but yeah.
Well, you're not moving.
We're going to sort that out, and
We are.
we'll be talking to you all about that at a later date. So if any of you are also suffering the excesses of lockdown, maybe we can do something together to try and sort that out.
Well, because we're lucky in Australia going into spring, summer, so it's a good time for us to be out and about and doing some
Yeah,
stuff.
we got some things planned,
Yeah.
so we will see. Any questions at all there, Michelle?
No, everyone's very quiet.
Everyone's
Who's lurking
quiet.
in there?
Well, it's a short notice, so I don't suppose there's been too many people in, but those of you that watch this later on, as always, we'll be watching the comments. So if you've got any questions you want to ask, I'll try to tippy type a little reply in the comment section for you. I do find sitting at this backlit net curtain that the light keeps sort of dimming in and out from the camera, so forgive me that.
Isn't it?
It's not.
If you open them, it's too bright, isn't it?
Yeah, it's too bright.
Yeah.
So come on, kick me off, somebody, because I have no idea why. I just felt an obligation to do a live stream. There's nothing happened. We're bored, senseless.
We are getting bored now, aren't we?
We are very bored.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, this is a pointless exercise. We're stuck in the hotel room. We're not allowed outside the door. When they deliver our food, we have to wear a mask to pick it up from the front door.
And I reckon we're the only ones on this floor now because nobody else is getting anything delivered food-wise. If they come and they knock on the door and then they walk away and nobody's got anything outside their doors. So I think we're on our own on this floor.
No, I'm certain we're on our own on this floor.
We could go running up and down the outside and they wouldn't know.
No, you can't, because they'll arrest you.
Oh no, we'll be in
They'll arrest
bother.
you. Can you? I don't know when we decided to criminalise moving. You know, this technically should be still an experience of sorts, I suppose. I mean, I don't know if there's a better solution for it, but well, I know the better solution. Don't do it at all. But
Joe Mackey says, "Bet you can't wait to get out of that room. I could not stand being stuck in. That's why I won't be going to Oz anytime soon."
well,
We kept putting it off.
I would not recommend it. You know, if I was to be honest to you, if unless you had to come to Australia and you live here as we do and you're residents, then it's something you're going to a hoop you're going to have to jump through. If you're coming here for any other reason, I wouldn't recommend it.
It's a pointless exercise.
No, it's an expensive, pointless, and it's giving you nothing at all. You're not getting anything out of this at all. So it's a pointless exercise. And there is this strange thing also. If any of the government ever watch this, and there's this feeling of liberties that have been taken away. They're really drumming it home with the legalities behind it. We are not criminals. We are just human beings with the right to travel in and out of our own country, and in many ways we should be treated as proper hotel guests. But I feel in this instance that, you know, there are little things you might say, oh, you know, this could be done or that could be done. You daren't say anything because I think you got this feeling almost like if you upset the apple cart, you're going to be in all sorts of, bother. I don't know.
We're in a scenario that if we don't like it,
Out of
they don't
control.
like it, move, or we can't move. We've got to stay here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for example, if this had been my hotel room in another hotel, I would have insisted they moved just for the noise that's outside with that huge air vent that's outside our window. As it is, I've kind of got used to it and let down. But you'd never accept that if you were a paying guest in a hotel. And we are paying guests in this hotel, and yet I don't feel like a paying guest. I do feel like an inmate, and that's something a feeling that I've never experienced before and don't want to experience. So it's unnecessary.
Sorry, Susan says, have you been to Cozumel, which is the little island in Mexico?
No, we didn't go up to Cozumel.
So is it a true representation of Mexico, or is it more westernized?
Oh gosh, no. Susan? Susan Hood?
Yes.
No, it's not anything remotely like Mexico.
Nowhere in that area.
That area is
westernized.
no more Mexico than Miami is Mexico. It's so un-Mexico. It's Cozumel we didn't go to, and it's meant to be quite pretty, but oh my lord, no. I don't even know if any Mexicans live in that part of the world. It's almost predominantly Americans.
Yeah.
It's even the Mexicans that live there are heavily influenced by the tourist market. It's probably more like Orlando than it is like Mexico. If you really want to experience Mexico, you've got to go into the hinterlands and go up away from that whole Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Cozumel for that matter. I know people are going to tell me Cozumel's a gorgeous sort of remote island, but it isn't.
It's just like all the places along there. Tulum is the place to visit. It's not.
Tulum was horrible. I mean, Tulum to me was my least favorite place in Mexico by quite some stroke. Only because it was hyped as being a really fascinating, beautiful hipster sort of Chiang Mai feel to it, and it wasn't. It was a dirty old tramp town, noisy, dirty, tiny. Nothing classy about it at all. Everything was like low class.
All the pictures and film we'd seen of it.
Everything was low class, and I mean that in the most respectful way.
It was very much sort of pointed at one place, wasn't
it?
Yeah,
and then No. I preferred actually Playa del Carmen, which was kind of at least had the vibe of sort of Blackpool come Gold Coast, sort of a bit of a.
Going on,
yeah, I mean it's still. If this is Mexico, then Playa del Carmen is. It's not Mexico. There's nothing remotely, apart from the fact it's in the country of Mexico. If you want to experience Mexico, go to Mexico City, go to Oaxaca, go to I don't know, go to San Miguel de Allende, which is another heavily touristed American place, but at least it still feels exceptionally like Mexico. Yeah. There's lots of places, San Cristobal, there's lots of places you could go that feel much more like Mexico. And if you want to feel that coastal side of Mexico, go to the other coast. Go to the Atlantic coast, is it, on the other side? Pacific?
Pacific, I think, yes.
Anyway.
But even there, you've got to be careful because some of the towns are very Americanized.
Yeah, I don't mean up north towards the American border. So I hope that answers your question. It's probably a nice place to go. That island, I've heard good reports of it. But
good to go on holiday, good to go for a visit, but it's not Mexico.
No. You're not experiencing Mexican culture. You're not experiencing anything particularly Mexicana. There's some of the foods and things, but it's much better in the mountains and down towards Oaxaca or in towards Puebla.
Well, Susan says that when travel is allowed again, my son wants to go to Mexico and he would want to experience true Mexican culture.
Well, then go to Oaxaca. That's
Mexico
a place
City,
I've really
we liked Mexico
City. Go to Puebla.
Yeah.
Go to Oaxaca. What is the coast? There's a beach town, not Puerto Escondido, which we didn't like at all, but further down from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Playa.
No, it's a
Porto Vallarta.
Vallarta, yes.
Puerto Vallarta on the other side, much more Mexican than any of that. That area. What are those two regions called? Cancun and
Yucatan Peninsula and the Quintana Roo.
Yeah, Yucatan, Quintana Roo. A lot of it is so heavily Americanized that it's lost a lot of its culture, and people will tell you all the pyramids and things are there, but
there's other places to go. Alan John asked, "What is the food like?" This is talking about hotel quarantine.
It's okay. It's a bit like it's a bit like aircraft food in a way. They're doing a good job with a bad situation. We're tired now of having food in cardboard, reconstituted cardboard boxes. We're tired of.
It's a bit repetitive now.
It's very repetitive. They haven't been able to, unfortunately, get 14 meals. You're here for 14 days. They haven't got 14 different meal plans, so they've only got 7. So we're straight away within 7 days. You're into a repeat meal regime, which I thought was a bit poor show in many respects.
Breakfasts are a bit of a poor show.
Breakfast we've had. I'm a little sick of boiled eggs. I'm not a big fan of omelettes and scrambled egg. I've never liked them very much. So I said I don't particularly want omelettes and scrambled eggs. So all we've got every day is boiled eggs.
But saying that, actually only once would that have been an omelette, and they've given us a substitute of boiled eggs. So we still would have got a lot of boiled eggs.
A lot of boiled eggs.
Yeah. And there's,
boring. And if it's not boiled egg, it's been quite savoury. Like this morning was boiled eggs, but with a load of potato, and I don't think potato gratin sort of or sautéed potatoes, I'm not sure what it was now, is a breakfast
No.
in my mind.
So Toby Rogers says hi.
Hi,
and,
Toby Rogers.
Jamaican girl.
Tiki Toby.
Says,
Kelly, you up
hi,
again?
Stephen Michelle, how's it going? Where are you? Guess where we are, Kelly.
You tell me where we are, Kelly.
I'll give you one guess. So anybody else in that I've missed? Must be a few of you watching who are lurking there.
So this is going to be our last live stream from here. We'll pick up on. We'll do something away from this location next, because there's not much to share here.
No, it is pretty.
If you want to see inside the hotel room, check out the last live stream. This is a shorter one today, just to sort of do a bit of QA and catch up with people, and yeah. I'm feeling. We both said today we're not feeling 100%, are we?
No, we're just feeling a bit. I don't know.
Bit nah.
Yeah.
A little bit nah. Shouldn't probably do a live stream feeling nah, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So Jamaican gal says, sorry I was late to the bandwagon. No, not too late, Kelly. You're all right. And
Not been long, Kelly.
Alan John says, do you watch Rebel Media? Avi, he's brilliant.
Yeah, Avi is good. I mean, I wouldn't agree with everything he stands for, because some of this stuff is a little bit, you've got prior to his stuff he's doing currently on the lockdowns and things. Rebel Media is good. There is unfortunately very little good non-main. There's no great news sources, and you've got this one thing where Avi is doing like everything's anti-lockdown, anti this, which is good, and I think there has to be told that story. And then you've got the mainstream media that are 100%. We lock down hard, lock down longer. Everybody must stay. Yeah, for the the lockdowns are brilliant, and your liberties you just forget about them, just throw them out the window. Which is basically the story that comes with almost all the ABC and all the mainstream over here are dreadfully biased towards lockdown. And then you've got the opposite of that. You end up with guys like Avi and that, which is, you should check him out. Rebel News. He's also got his own channel, Avi Umenin. I'm not sure of his surname, but definitely worth checking out. You can put the link if you want to his channel. Sorry, I keep kicking the table.
Yeah, you do. Kim G says, who am I watching? I don't know, Kim. Who are you watching?
I don't know. Who am I listening to?
I don't know. Susan Head said, you're probably feeling mad because you aren't able to get out in the fresh air and sunshine. It must be pretty demoralising.
No, I think it's a whole number of factors of things. It's a lull before the storm, getting home to see the family. That's going to be a real highlight. But it's also the end of a sort of an adrenaline drive. You know what I'm saying? We've been sort of a long time now. This has been sort of brewing, and I think you always get this sort of this down feeling.
Yeah, the mind's been go, organised, sort everything out. Yes, we're here, and now it's sort of we're nearly there. What do we do?
Yeah.
But we'll be fine. We're good. So, did you want me to put Rebel News link?
No. Somebody else wants to put it there. I'm not advertising Rebel News. They're not. We've got no affiliation with them. But you can Google it. It's Rebel News for the Australian. They're also based. I think they're a Canadian-based news group, and they do a lot of stuff following the lockdowns and that in the USA and Canada. But they can be. They're the opposite. People will say extreme right, extreme left. Who cares whether you're left or right? Their storyline is very much, we shouldn't be locking down, and masks shouldn't be worn, and we should be getting on with our lives and not locking people up and taking people's liberties away. But they're very extreme on that. And there is a sweet spot between the two, which is, not to antagonize every single person that you meet, but basically, we should be free. Everybody knows this. We should be free to do what we want. People say in the comments, if I ever say anything sort of, negative about the lockdowns, oh, well, what's the alternative? Well, it's clear what the alternative is. I mean, for crying out loud, if you haven't got the smarts to work out what the alternative is, I mean,
I'm bored with it all now.
It is. There's an illness that's around. Take care of the elderly, take care of the infirm, and let everybody else get on with their lives. And I don't mean now. forever.
Yeah.
This never should have happened. None of this should ever have happened. Not last year, not this year. This should never have happened. And the fact that it is happening is criminal.
So Kim G says, no, lol, I'm serious. I came across this live stream and I'm wondering who I'm watching.
Well, if you, you're watching me and Michelle.
In quarantine in Sydney, Australia. Just chatting about it.
Just chatting. If you want to, what do you like watching? What's your bag? What's the sort of thing you enjoy watching? And I can tell you if you're in the right spot. If you're not, then maybe, you know, watch something else. But
there's lots
normally,
on the channel to check out if you want to.
we do travelling. We do. This channel was originally Steve's Kitchen, so there's 1,000+ cooking recipes out there. And we do travel, and we're just chatting with our friends. And if you're a friend,
welcome.
put your feet up and just have a chat. Half a question.
I might do a cup of coffee in a minute. Cheryl says, hey, what time is it there? It is 1:06, Cheryl.
1:06, Cheryl.
And Joe Mackey gives you a thumbs up and is laughing.
I find some question. I think this is in the comment sections as well. Sometimes people write stuff in the comments and things, and you think, why did you write that? I mean,
Scott Malone says, I like watching Steve and Michelle cooking me a big meal.
Oh,
hi, Scott.
Scotty, beam us up, Scotty.
No cooking, no kitchen, no loud.
No, we haven't got any. We haven't got any. God, put the kettle on and let me have a little look at the chat and see what ends there. Is Scotty in?
He is. He's just popped in.
Scott Malone is American in Bangkok. If you haven't checked out his channel, Scott, put the link down there for your channel, man. Not allowed to put the link. I'll put it in there.
We're getting tired.
We're all a bit tired of it, aren't we, Scott? We're all a bit over this stuff. Anyway, whether you're over it or not, we're basically we're living outside it. So we're actually not going to let this nonsense interfere with us anymore. We're going to, as we haven't done pretty much. Have you got this thing on the top of your YouTube, Scott? Keeps asking you to do a survey. So, Scott, see if I did this on my computer, Michelle, it would just come up automatically. There he is. Right. If you haven't checked out Scott's videos, you should get across. He's a good friend and YouTuber. Oh, I'm on a Mac. I'm on a Mac.
People can actually click the 3 dots and it says go to the channel.
That isn't going to work, Scotty. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm suffering from COVID BS exhaustion as well, Scott. I'm tired of talking about it, but at the same time, it's important to talk about it as well, because, you know, if we don't talk about it, nothing's going to change. And at the moment, most people are just sort of happy to let things roll on as they are. And here in Australia, of course, we're going into a system that most of the rest of the world has come out of by now. Now I put the link in there.
You did?
But I don't know if it's clickable and usable.
Let me see what he's done on my computer.
Max.
You did it. Well done. Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, not sure.
Doesn't matter. We'll put it below the video. We'll put it below the video. I don't want people leaving to go and see Scott's channel anyway. How you been, Scott? Well, I know I've spoken to you recently, so I know how you've been.
I'm getting rid of that one.
You're going to put a proper one in there?
I'm going to put a proper one. So Scott's been irritable. Irritable.
Oh, that's not good to hear, Scott. How unusual.
He said that so meaningfully,
yeah,
didn't you?
he's such a grumpy old man. Honestly, he's just like me. Just like me.
Yes, Cheryl, it doesn't work. I'm working on it. Don't worry. I'm back now. I'm in command.
She's in command. Command. Macintoshes are... I'm actually going to be working on a Mac in the next few weeks, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. I'm really not a big fan of their weird sort of... There we go.
There we go. It should work now.
You're welcome, Scott.
And Scott says, although they have opened the malls up here, yippee, lucky you.
Well,
think we've got malls open.
Maybe.
Maybe, but we're not allowed to go more than 5Ks, apparently.
No. No.
But anyway, we'll work on that when we get home. We're getting there.
I watched a video, somebody sent to me a link of, I think it was up in Canada, and they cordoned off the beach with big barricades to stop people going onto the beaches because that was against law. And then so people were going into the water off the rocks and strolling along because apparently you were allowed to be in the sea but not on the beach. And then as they were coming off the beach, the police were arresting them for being on the beach. And I thought, what an awful waste of taxpayer money to be implementing firstly such a law. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars would have been spent putting up this cage that engulfed the whole of the beach, this massive sort of industrial fencing that went all the way along the beach by the local councils, who are obviously clearly got nothing better to do with the money that they collect off of people's taxes. And then on top of that, there was a massive police presence there arresting people for going on to the sand. And
Logical logic.
this is the madness that we live in. This is the madness. And the fact that a person with a job title, police officer, would even do that job. I mean, why are they not turning around to their superiors and saying, sorry, governor, I ain't doing that. That's not what I signed up for. That's what we need, basically. We need the entire authoritarian sort of forces to just turn around. When they're told to do this stuff, they just turn around and say, nah, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. You know, we're supposed to have the intelligence to be able to make our own sort of cognitive decisions. And I think it's important when the mayor of a town says to the whole of the police office in a town, we want you to go down to the beach and arrest people that are going onto the beach beyond the cages that we put up, that the police officers should turn around to them and say, hello? Duk, 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 duk. No, that's not what we do. But
so Kelly said, or American Girl said, love the quiz you did the other time. Will you be doing it again, Michelle and Steve? I think that was on Facebook when we did the quizzes on.
We will do something like that, Kelly. When
that
things
bit
settle
fun,
down a bit,
yeah.
we'll do some quizzes like that.
Cheryl says, I'm kind of sad to see you both still there, to be honest. You've been tested over and over. I keep thinking, how many times are they going to shove stuff up your noses till they have caused a positive? I know.
Sorry, Cheryl. We're okay.
Yeah.
We're okay. I said before, you tend to film stuff when you want to grumble. When things are good, you tend not to think of picking up the camera. So don't always think that we're particularly unhappy. We're not. We're generally quite content and all good.
So Scott said, nice mug, Steve. Is it your face? Hard to see.
It is my face, mate. And on this side is Michelle's face.
My face.
And cartooned. And a friend of ours made them. And so I've got Michelle facing me. She's got myself facing her.
So that's kind of cool.
Cheers, me dears.
So Jamaican Girl says, oh, guys and girls, you'll love it. So stay tuned for the quizzes.
I forgot about those,
Yeah,
Kelly. They were a lot of fun.
We did have a lot of fun with those, didn't we?
We're going to get home. We're going to go into a Zen mode. We're just going to meditate ourselves into the most calm plateau we can. We're going to not look outside the window. We're not going to turn that idiot box on that keeps everybody completely sort of brainwashed and in fear. And we're going to get ourselves into a position where we are ourselves again, and then we're just going to get on with life. Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. And we'll take you guys along for a ride. It is time we switched off. You can't entirely switch off because when people are stood outside your door telling you you've got to wear a nappy on your face to walk down the streets, then you've got a problem. But so you can't entirely switch off. That's the biggest problem I've had with this.
You don't have to go looking for it and sort of keep switching it on. So
yeah.
You can just, as Kelly says, on meditation is defo needed.
Yes.
And Scott says, that's great. You need to sell those. Little spelling mistake there. You need to sell those. Talking about the mugs. But would anybody really want to be drinking a mug with him and me on it?
No. No, these are very personal.
They're just for us. It's good because it means we've got mugs in the room because they're very tiny, the cups they've given us in here. So
yeah.
We bought our own, which is nice. Cheryl says, good for you, glad to hear it. Just live your life. I'm so sick of it all. So am I, Cheryl. Just had enough. I'm just going to ignore it all. Get on with our life.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean staying in one place and sort of locking ourselves out. We'll still be living life and hopefully sharing
Living
our
life. We're
life.
just trying to dodge the authoritarian sort of world at the moment. We're just trying to dodge around them. I don't watch the news, as I've said to many of you many times. I don't follow the news. I barely know who the president is of the US. I barely know who the prime minister is of Australia. I barely know who. I almost do not care to follow the news because it's generally, it doesn't enhance your life in any way whatsoever. So I've always tried to live a little bit outside that narrative because I don't want to know about all the misery that's going on. But the problem is, this one has literally stepped into your room, taken you by the throat, and swung you around like a sort of like a cat with a mouse. And it will not let go of us. So it's really hard to ignore this one. It's they've basically got us all. They've got us all.
But we're going to do our best. So Scott likes our mugs.
Thank you, Scott.
Have I missed any questions there while I was away making coffee?
Possibly not. So,
Oh, Cheryl says, didn't you hear? We don't have a president. We have a puppet. A puppet.
I think
Muppet.
Muppet.
I thought Muppet, but you wrote puppet.
Cheryl, don't get political. Oh, Lordy.
They're all a bit like that.
They're all the same, honestly.
I mean, why do we need anybody to run our countries?
I've never, to be honest, had any real belief in the system that we live in. And I don't have any great, strong, call towards a certain, left or right pulling. I just know. Many years ago, when I was quite young, I had a friend who went into politics. Alan Joyce was his name, a good friend of mine, and he went into politics. And what a smart and astute and well-meaning character he was. And he was in there about 2 or 3 years when he just gave up trying to change it. He got the benefits he used to get. The money he used to get for his expenses and trips and all that was so comforting that he just didn't want to rock the boat and lose his position. If he lost his position, he lost all the little benefits and the sort of trips away and the tax benefits that he used to get. So within a very short time, and I was probably only about 21, maybe 20, 21 at the time. Maybe by the time Alan had got to, long in the tooth, I might have been 22, 23 at the most. But I always looked at that and I thought, wow, this is a system that's designed that when people get into it, that they literally cannot do what they set out to do, because if they do, all the comforts that they had, the car allowance and the tax benefits and all the little bits that they got would be taken away from them, and that really affects their lives. And that's why you might not understand sometimes why most people that go into politics with great intentions end up just towing the line and just doing nothing, because they have so much to lose. They've got no other job. They've got no other career path to be in. And if they lose that career path, they are back to being whatever it was that life dealt them. So if you come from a working class background, as Alan was, mid-working class background, middle class, working class, you would find that at the very best, if you lost your job because you was trying to rock the boat, you'd have to just go back to the mundanity of maybe working in an office or doing something that you didn't really enjoy before. So they get usually about sort of 6 to 8 months of where they're in there trying to change things and make things better, and then they suddenly get this sort of call up, and it's an announcement directly from the top that basically says, we do it this way, and if you don't toe the line, we won't support you for your next campaign to get re-elected to office. And it's only a sort of minor. It's a messed up system.
It is. Orlando says no news is good news. No journalist is even better.
Yes, I could possibly agree with that. Although journalism, there was a time I watched okay, let's get controversial. Why not? Let's get controversial. I'm going to tell you something that I saw. I don't know if any of you know David Icke. Now, David Icke there are two camps. David Icke is either a complete nutcase who talks about lizard people whatsoever, or he's just an eccentric with some unusual views. It's not important what he is. It's not important. Now, he's talked out at some length against the current government, and he's got some very weird ideas. And I wouldn't say, I'm not. Please don't take anybody. Oh, Stephen likes David Icke. I'm neither here nor there with the guy. I don't really care. I don't follow him, but I know of him. I know exactly when he started. I knew him as a presenter on television when I was younger. And anyway, he has said some things. He's talked about certain people, certain leaders that he's not keen of, and some of them are French, and some of them are German, and some of them are Irish, and some of them are Australian, and some of them come from Catholic backgrounds, and some of them come from Jewish backgrounds. And he's talked about this sort of thing. It's frankly, a lot of it sounds nonsensical, but because he mentioned one of those things doesn't sit easy. He applied to come to Australia to do talks, and he's been here many times before. Never seen him, never knew when he was coming. I'm not interested at all, wouldn't go and see him. I'm not saying, like I say, but anyway, where am I going with this? Just this last month, he was denied coming into Australia to make a talk. He was denied because of his points of view. And I'm thinking to myself, what world do we live in where our chosen elected government can tell us what we can and cannot listen to? What world do we live in where they can tell? I don't care if David Icke is mad as a hatter. I don't care if he's as nutty as a bloody topic. I really don't care at all. We can decide. We're grown-ups, all of us. We're fully grown-up adults, and we can decide if we want to listen to him or not. And if people come in and say, I've got superpowers and I can jump off a roof and fly and this, that, and the other, eventually people are going to say, I don't think you have really, and she's going to be proven wrong. The masses don't follow madness. Small numbers of people follow madness, but the masses don't. And generally, if you talk a lot of nonsense, eventually people will call you out and say you're talking nonsense. But what world do we live in where a government can actually select whether or not we're allowed to listen to somebody? And I found that quite disturbing, because I actually watched a local Australian news channel, and they were talking about it, and they had him on. Channel 10, I think it is. You can always check it out, and it's a little bit embarrassing because they had him on a sort of like a Skype call or a Zoom call, and they just kept going on about his stupid belief system. But I'll be honest, I think a lot of what he talks about is absolute nonsense. But they kept going on about that, and I said, guys, you are journalists. The very least you should be doing is questioning why is it that we're not allowing him to come into the country. Doesn't matter what his beliefs are.
Because that was the reason why they had him on. It was because the story was that he had been denied entry to Australia. So that's the story.
And at the end of it, when they closed, if you watch this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it, or if you go on to, I think it's Channel 10. At the end of it, when they cut him off and got rid of his show, it's actually a good little example to watch if you want to check out David Icke on Channel 10. At the end of it, all the presenters giggled like children, and they're just like, oh, he's such an idiot, what they should have been doing, 4 presenters should have been saying, okay, we strongly disagree with this guy, but come on, we can't stop people coming into our country who want to give a talk if there's a demand for it. You just can't. I'm sorry. That free speech has to be complete free speech. It can be nothing cannot be debated, otherwise it goes underground, and we need to be able to debate. If we don't do that, we won't have strong intellectual people in our country that can debate and think for themselves. We'll just have people that are mindlessly sort of driven towards one narrative, and that can't happen.
Dwayne says hello.
Oh, good day, Dwayne. Sorry, man.
Alan John says political elite, they are a virus. And Cheryl says, the world we live in is not what we used to live in, and those people must think they are dealing with children. It sets me off.
It sets me off, and I said before that people have bent over to this so quickly, and that the Channel 10 thing was a good example of 4 presenters who were quite despicably anti David Icke, when what they really should have been saying is, we don't like David Icke, but he should be allowed into our country, and he's been here many times before apparently. He should be allowed in if he's got seminars to attend and things to do. And if he stands on the corner of the street saying, rub-a-dub-dub, rub your face with jam and you'll all turn into sort of spacemen and fly off into the sky, so be it. It doesn't matter. If somebody rubs their face in jam and sits there going, infinity and beyond, we're all just going to laugh, and they're going nowhere, are they? They're not flying in. There's no one doing it. And if, the evolutionary laws, deal with them. Sorry. It's just something I saw this morning. So this is the sort of thing Scott and I should do. We should have a show together and just sort of chew over the cud of politics. Because Scott and I disagree with a lot of things and agree with a lot of things. It'd probably be a bit too argumentative, to be honest.
Alan John says, look up Alex Belfield.
Alex is another one. He's an interesting character. He's used to be a presenter on BBC Radio, I think, in the day, and he's actually quite an intelligent guy, quite smart. But again, no, I like Alex. I've got a lot of respect for him. I don't agree with a lot of what he says. In some areas, he's wrong, but he has the right to be wrong.
He has the right to say what
and he has the right
wants.
to be right, and that's what it's all about.
Cheryl says, doesn't it make you crazy? And Feral Lunch Lady says, Katie Hopkins was deported for making fun of her quarantine.
I was so ashamed. I'm sorry, Australians who felt that was a necessary step to do. I was so ashamed that somebody was deported for humour, and I know that she said things that were antagonistic, and she said things that were disrespectful. But I saw that video and I absolutely took it as a joke. It was a joke. She was being a supercilious, ridiculous. If people really think that Katie Hopkins was going to take her top off and run down the hallway of the thing greeting the police, it was clearly meant to be a joke. Now I'm shocked and embarrassed that we actually chose to ask that lady to leave the country because we didn't like her views.
Cheryl's saying, was she an Australian?
She's a British lady. She'd
been invited over here.
I think she came over to do Big Brother or something, and they kicked her out because she was cheeky. She was cheeky, but you can't do that. You can't throw people out of a country.
I mean, they knew what her character was anyway, didn't they? That's why they wanted her here.
But you can't throw somebody out of a country because they said they were going to be naughty. You can throw them out for being naughty, but you can't throw them out of a country because they said they were going to be naughty. I mean, come on, politicians. Get a grip of yourselves. Stop taking yourselves so seriously, and please start doing your jobs. The jobs that we are paying you to do.
Feral Lunch Lady said she was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, she did things that were antagonistic, and she paid dearly for it. I mean, way too dearly for it.
Orlando says, remember, you can't fix stupid.
No, you cannot fix stupid, unfortunately. We have a saying in Australia. It's a common Australian saying, which you'll hear if you're over here, people say that politics is like a cesspit. The crap floats to the top. And it's not my saying, it's a saying I hear frequently said in Australia, and it's a lovely, proper sort of larrikin type Australian saying. But the more I think about the saying, the more I do start to wonder how much truth is in it.
Scott says you can speak freely as long as you agree with the narrative.
I don't agree with any of the narrative, Scott. So I'll never speak
No, I think he's meaning he's as in
Yes.
general people. That's what people want people to do.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Alan John says Kate was an army officer. She's in America now.
She was a British Army officer, young lady. She joined Sandhurst College and trained to be an officer. She came from a working class family, if I remember rightly. So she worked her way up. She also had epilepsy. She was discharged from the honourably discharged from the army because she had epileptic fits and it was causing a lot of issues. And I think she was possibly cerebral palsy. I'm not 100% sure, but and she was going. A very fascinating lady, by the way. A very fascinating lady. Nutty as a fruitcake
Cheryl
sometimes.
says I think there needs to be many, many more Kates.
We need to allow people to be Kates. We can't not allow people to be like that.
Everyone's too serious.
The world
I
should
think.
be made up of a tapestry of rich and diverse personalities. And if you allow governments and politicians to step in and ban people from coming into your environment that don't speak the way you want them to speak, then something needs to change. Because we need to have. My life is a rich tapestry of experiences, from the highest to the lowest, to the strangest to the weirdest. And if I were to take those experiences and deduct them from my life, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I think if we can't meet the David Icks and the Katie Hopkins and the Alex Belfields and the the odd and extreme characters that you'll meet on a journey in life, you won't understand what is wrong and what is right. You won't be able to judge.
Cheryl agrees, absolutely.
Yeah, and I know I've upset a lot of subscribers. Scotty, we talked about this before, and I've got some friends who say to me, you shouldn't do this, it'll alienate viewers. I'm not trying to alienate people. I want us all to tolerate everybody for what they are. And as you've heard me say now, I'm not supporting Alex Belfield. I'm not supporting Katie Hopkins. I'm not supporting David Icke. I'm not supporting, who's the Aussie lady we were talking about yet in the last politician?
Oh, yeah. Come back to me. Pauline Hanson.
I'm not supporting Pauline Hanson and people like that, but I absolutely would die on a hill to support their freedom to say what they wish to say, and for people to be able to judge and debate and work out what's wrong and what's right in this world. It's so important. And so many people say, well, why do you bother? Why don't you just be quiet? I get this from family sometimes, just be quiet, don't rock the boat. And that, it's not my way. I can't be that person for you either. I'm sorry.
John says, then we end up with the People's Republic of Australia. We're not far behind you in America.
I think it's fixable what's happened here in Australia. I think it's fixable. I'm positive about it. I'm positive about it all over the world. If you see now in countries that have come out of this, you're seeing repair and change starting to happen. I think it's opened the eyes up of a lot of people to realise just how inept a lot of our politicians are, and what we should be looking for in future politicians, or in a political system that works, if that's even possible.
Alan says, agree to disagree, that's the world I live in. And John and Alan both say 100% correct, spot on. So everyone's agreeing with you.
Not everybody, because there'll be people that don't agree with me that are not commenting, and I understand that.
But you're entitled to say what you want to say, and they're entitled not to agree with you, but nobody should stop.
But I know what I would say to anyone that disagrees with me intensely is, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm not advocating any one particular way. I'm advocating tolerance of everything. I'm advocating tolerance, and I do think, for example, that the political system in our Western countries particularly is immensely corrupt and immensely damaged, and I think it should be changed quite radically. But to say that is just a sentence. It's not actually doing anything. So I could be wrong and I could be right, and I'm willing to change my point of view. I've experienced a lot of things in my life. I've been, Michelle and I have lived the life of 100 human beings sometimes. I think we've done so many unusual things in our life. So we're quite experienced, and we've got very strong opinions, but they're always changing.
Yeah, you're always ready to listen to what other people have to say. You don't all necessarily agree with what they're saying.
Sorry?
But you shut up, you're listening to me.
I wasn't listening.
What's new?
You walked into that.
I did. There you go. So that's your bit of politics for the live stream. You always got to have a bit of politics in your live streams.
My live streams of late have been all very
Yes.
political, but also
But
hopefully a little bit uplifting.
This one is uplifting. This is, yes, talking
Because
about what we can do.
I've got two fat. Mexico made me fat.
And me.
Mexico, you made me fat. Love you to death. You're beautiful people. You're as warm as your climate, but you made me fat. I've eaten way too much calories, and I've got a lot of weight to lose. So
Wakula San said, Mr. and Mrs. Owens, you got my vote. I'm not going in for anything.
So I'm going to be working on losing that 10 kilos or so that I've put on. 10 kilos for our American friends who still live in sort of Edwardian England. That's, I think, about 20 pounds? 22 pounds.
It's a lot. We're losing
Yeah.
it. We're going to be exercising and eating healthily and getting that fresh air.
And I'm
we're missing.
tormenting the Americans. I know.
I know.
I don't get into trouble. I always did find it a little bit strange that the old-fashioned measurements of sort of farthings and sort of like poles and yards and inches and things were exported all around the world from the United Kingdom to different countries, and pretty much all of them decided, that's rubbish, the decimal system's right. But in the US, they kept it, and they had the Tea Party, the Boston, and they threw the English out, or the English threw the English out, and then kept the farthings, yards, and shillings, and all those sort of things, which kind of.
The feral lunch lady said, I'm in Mexico, have gained weight, the food is too good here.
I think one of the things is the food is good, but it also is not good, because there isn't a good balance of healthy food in the Mexican food narrative. There isn't just enough.
Yeah, when you're eating out all the time.
It's a lot of carbs.
Yeah, when you can cook your own, you can obviously choose what you're eating, but when you've got to eat out every day, it's difficult. Sarastrom says, is it true? It's a question. South Australia is planning to implement social credit system. It was in the news here. No idea.
I haven't followed the news. A lot of the things you'll hear about, vaccine passports, social credit system, all these sort of things. When you say you hear them in the news, generally you hear them through social media and Facebook, blah blah blah, or even through the media, who don't know their backsides from their elbows. And a lot of these things, if they really, really sound ridiculous, they probably aren't going to get passed into any length of law. But I just watched a bunch of policemen issuing fines for people standing on sand. So, I don't know.
So Cheryl says, so will you be sharing your food regime that you're making to lose weight?
We're working on our own little book, recipe book,
Actually,
Cheryl.
we were talking about this
We've
this
been
morning,
working, we're talking about it all this week.
I know, but
We were talking about it
specifically
this morning. We're working on a.
Waitlist says, love the conversations Michelle and you have amongst each other.
Yeah.
Our little
We're
arguments.
having them with you. So we're working on a regime of eating of healthy foods that, from our experience of being all over the world over the last 6 years, we've come up with a few ideas, and we're trying to, here's the fact, and I think all of you know this. It's not rocket science. If you eat too many calories, in other words, if you put too much wood in a fire, it will not all burn down. It can only burn down at a certain rate. So you put too much into your stomach, into your body, there's only a certain amount of calories you need each day to function. There is also, if it wants to get a bit more complicated, there are a certain amount of amino acids that are used within the body that are useful to our well-being. Now that's a little more complicated, and I could go into it in more detail.
And the older you get, the less calories you need.
Yes.
Carry on.
See, She had to say that. She didn't like my amino acids things.
No, it's boring.
There are a number of essential amino acids we need in order to function, to make our eyes bright, to make our ears work, to make our hair grow. There are a certain amount of nutrients and things we need in our system. Anything above and beyond that, we store in fat, and that's why we have to be careful. So the problem is with diets is most of them are unsustainable. They're things that they get a bit fatty, and we go in and out of them, and this, that, and the other. So when we're normally at home, we usually work a lot harder on eating healthy, and we haven't been able to do that in the last sort of 6 years because we've been in hotels and bouncing around the world a lot. So we are going to concentrate a bit more on that, and we're going to start making our own sort of recipe books up, interesting low-calorie meals that you can say, okay, this is how many calories I can have in a day. I don't want to feel like I'm just eating lettuce and sort of, pipetas or what? Pipettes. So we're working on it. And yeah, I'll try and share it with you. Was it Cheryl that said?
Yes.
I said, I got a long-winded answer for anything. You got anything else you'd like to ask? I can spend 20 minutes answering.
Restaurant's still trying to wind you up, get you political. A woman in Australia is arrested for incitement after being followed from her home by police. She
was, but the full story of her, whether she was inciting or not, I don't know. She certainly seemed to be completely innocent in what I'm led to understand at the moment. What is incitement? I mean, I haven't yet. That story will unfold. That's a fairly recent story. That story will unfold. She's actually a young lady who I think her parents are Canadian. She's lived here probably like us for many years, so she's fully fledged Australian, but she's certainly been treated fairly unjustly. And but I don't know the full story, so I can't judge that. I think at the moment she's still undergoing sort of processing.
Cheryl says, sign me up. That's to the weight loss booklet, prep regime, whatever.
See what happened, Cheryl, is I explained to you all the beauty of what we're going on about, and then Michelle resigned it down to a booklet.
I didn't say booklet, I said
I'm
book.
coming up with I think if anyone wants to
Okay,
rewind
maybe
and check.
I don't know.
But by the end of the evening, it'd be a pamphlet, which you can pick up outside the co-op.
A4 sheet, a leaf flyer, a flyer.
Yeah. As we come up with these grand ideas, I was going to come up with sort of, getting everybody on board and maybe even making a nice little cookery book up and that. Michelle's got it down to an A4 flyer that's going to be folded up and
I actually
handed
said
out
book that. I didn't use the word booklet. Go back and see.
Yeah. What minutes are we at the moment?
I don't know. I can't see on mine.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't. It says 0.
All right. Anybody want to skip back and back me up on this one? We're at 57 minutes. We only got to go back a few minutes to prove that I am.
Cheryl's totally laughing her bit behind off. At least we're entertaining you.
Don't encourage her, Cheryl.
I didn't say booklet. Got to listen carefully.
One thing that you'll, if you knew Michelle and I better, that we do tend to sort of mock each other. But one thing's for sure, I'm never wrong.
No, dear, never.
Right.
Any more questions?
Any more questions about anyone want to quiz Michelle about her booklet she's making?
My flyer.
Pamphlet.
I'm down to a flyer. You're not getting a booklet now. That's it.
So no, we're
Very entertaining, says Susan. Nobody's going back and checking.
Yeah, they've already gone back. Nobody wants to basically
say that you're wrong.
you up. Stop banging my leg. This leg's aching. We were doing exercise earlier, and we're doing steps and all sorts, stepping up and down on this thing. She keeps banging it like it's sore.
Okay. Fidelity Questa says that there are essential vitamins, essential proteins, essential fats, no such thing as essential carbohydrates, sugars. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, they're essential amino acids. When you talk about sugars, there are actually different types of triglycerides and the RS are part of our essential amino acids our bodies need. There are certain sugars that we can use, store as energy, and certain sugars that we don't use. We don't use, for instance, lactose in milk is definitely from the sugar family, and our bodies, young children up until about the age of 5 and 6 can actually process and use lactose, but we've over many thousands of years of evolution have not. Oh, this is too boring. But basically, adults don't tend to use or process lactose as a sugar, and that's why you have a lot of people that are lactose intolerant. People from the West, by the way, most Central Europeans can actually process lactose, and that's why you'll find quite often a lot of Asians cannot process milk solids, and quite often Europeans can, but they don't process it in a way that's of any use. It's actually got no real functional use in your body.
So John says, much love to you both. Have to sign off. 11 p.m. here. See you next time. Bye, John.
All right, John.
Rastrum says, show us upside eggless cakes. Don't understand that. Mason Pin says, when do you plan to travel the world again? I love your Vietnam travel videos.
The world is shut at the moment. Have you not noticed? There's a little thing. The world is shut.
Bit of an issue. We've been trying. We have been trying.
We'll be doing travelling.
Yes.
We've got some really cool plans over the next 18 months. Really cool plans. You're going to love them.
Yeah, absolutely. So watch this space, as they say.
I will be sat here in a hotel a year from now, and you're going to look, and I'm going to be so slim. You're going to say, "Who was that chunky guy last year sat in hotel quarantine?"
Well, I hope we're not going to be sat in hotel quarantine this time next year.
No, I didn't say hotel quarantine.
I know, but you said sat in a hotel.
Yeah.
I know, but not like this.
No.
No.
See what I've got to put up with? You see what I've got to put up with?
Cheryl says, I find that totally interesting about lactose. I did not know that. And getting
Thank
back
you,
on
Cheryl.
that, Cheryl.
I'll write a little pamphlet about it.
Flyer.
No, there's a whole. I mean, food science is what I've studied most of my food career, and it's something that's really important to understand how your body sort of uses the different nutrients and products that you eat in order to understand why it is that we're putting on weight when we.
Yeah, if we all understood it and knew what we needed to put into our bodies to.
Oh, understanding it doesn't necessarily stop you from abusing it.
No, but it might help some people not to abuse it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you might understand it, but if I offer you a bag of salt and vinegar crisps and you like them,
yeah,
you're not going to say that hasn't got the correct amino acids.
No,
for
I
me
cannot.
to
I've had too many of those today, so
you
I
just sit there
cannot
going, these are small bags. Give me a bigger bag. You know. Do you remember when we were kids and people of my age, sort of in their mid-30s, they'll probably remember when you were younger.
You as old as that?
Yeah. So how you get a bag of crisps as a child, and they were like they were about this size. Yeah. Absolutely, that's probably about spot on. That's how big a bag of crisps used to be.
This came with lunch.
This came with lunch. That's the proper size. This isn't. You know when you get the multi-packs of crisps now for the kids, and you open up, they've got 36 bags of crisps. You open them up, and they're like about this big.
They've got three crisps in them.
Three
That's
crisps.
it.
So when we were younger, a crisp used to be probably about this size, 45 grams, which is about 45 grams about. Yeah. Now, and when we were kids, a big family bag of crisps was like something you would only get for parties and empty into. Now, when did we all start using those family bags of crisps as a standard bag of crisps?
Serve.
You know, when did we all start with a packet of Pringles crisps the size of a sort of like a shopping bag and keep sort of dipping into them and eat that amount of potato chips? That's crisps, we call them. What do you call them in the US? Chips.
We call them everything.
We call them everything.
Whatever we feel like calling them.
We do.
They do.
I call them yummy. Some of them.
Some of them.
So,
but when you get,
we're going to wind up.
We are. We've been on over an hour.
Yeah.
And it's still going. They haven't cut us off yet.
No. So, I think.
There's a big comment come up. It hasn't come up here yet.
Okay. I saw it over
I
there.
can see it over there, but it hasn't arrived on me. Oh, there you go. Hang on a minute. It was Susan. It says many of us know about dietary needs, etc., but tend to forget when faced with tempting treats, etc. I know it's hard.
Well,
isn't
we
it?
all know eat too much stuff, get fat. That's
But
basically
we
the
say, I'm
simple
not going
rules.
to do that, and then the next day you see something nice, and you think, oh, I'll just have one or
Yeah.
two.
But there are ways also or there are certain foods, you'll be pleased to know, that actually slow down your desire to eat more. Certain foods that you can eat that actually satiate you a lot better than other foods. And if you want to,
And sometimes you just got to get in the right mind, headspace, and say, I am going to do this.
yes,
I'm not quite there yet, but getting there.
we're actually this couple of weeks in quarantine, we've decided to knock that on the head and
Well, we thought,
just you know, we don't know what we're getting for
No.
Michelle actually said when we first talked about coming here, she said, oh, let's ask the hotel for a low carbohydrate meal
carbs,
plan.
high
No
protein.
carbohydrates, high protein. And I said to her, no. I said, if we do that, we won't get anything. They won't send any potato crisps. They won't send any sort of croissants. There'll be no nice foods coming up to the room. And we've already got to suffer 2 weeks in prison. I don't want to add added to that I'm eating lettuce and sort of boiled eggs. As it happens, I am eating lettuce and boiled eggs, but.
Wake San says, you guys remind me of the Gracie and Alan show. Good night, both of you.
I hope that's good. I've never heard of Gracie and Alan, but I hope that's a positive analogy.
Alan John says, 4:50 a.m. here. Nice seeing you both. Good night. You must be in the UK or in Europe, I reckon. Cheryl said, thanks so much for making our night interesting. It helped lighten what we're going through here. God bless.
Thank you, Cheryl. And on that note, we are gonna knock this on the head. And
Susan says, I actually love munching on celery and raw carrot. One of my favourite snacks.
me
That's
too,
very
Susan. That's
good,
my
Susan.
favourite thing. If I was to say on a desert island somewhere, you know, where I couldn't take anything with me, it'd probably be a bit of celery and some carrots. Lovely. Yeah, I know. I'm white. I know you mean it. I know you mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you don't.
Oh, look, celery and carrots, or this block of chocolate. Can I have them both? I can save the celery and carrots till later.
But celery and carrots would be good for you if you want to lose the weight. They might fill you up.
Dipped in chocolate. Anyway, I tease.
Gracie Kitty said, more of you to love.
Yes. There is no.
Nope.
Michelle and I
Nope.
prefer the slimmer versions of ourselves, so we're going that way.
Cheryl says she's all over you tonight.
Yeah.
It's only 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Time to go, said Zebedee. Time for bed.
Time to bed, said Zebedee.
All right. So thank you for joining us. Oops,
Yes,
I'm going
yes,
out of
we
shot
can
a little bit.
shot. And next time, we are on live. We won't be in quarantine.
No,
Maybe.
unless we are.
Let's be
which is a possibility. I
Susan
wouldn't.
says, I will have chocolate too. We've got you, Susan. Erica says, so how long do you be there? Hi, everyone.
It's 2 weeks in isolation, in quarantine. If you're with a lovely partner, then of course it's not entire isolation. If you're lucky enough not to be with a partner, it's full isolation.
I'm just patting your shoulder, dear.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
wasn't a
So, all right. So 2 weeks, and then we think we'll be free to
I
go.
think we can get to where we want to get to.
All right.
Yes.
Loved you all. Take care. It's good to catch up with you again. We'll catch up with you again probably sometime next week.
Yeah.
From a more
Relaxed
and free environment.
Yes.
All right. Loved you all.
Yeah.
Take
Bye.
care. See you in the next video. Be good.